Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Julie Nangia. I'm a breast oncologist and the director of the breast center at the Daniel and Duncan Comprehensive Cancer Center. And today I have with me Erika Hamilton. She's the director of breast cancer research at the Sarah Cannon Research Institute in Nashville. And she's here to talk to us about the HER2CLIMB-05 results.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So today these results were presented at the conference and published in JCO. Can you let us know a little bit about the background of why you did the study, the design of the study, and some information about the patients that were included?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're all familiar with HER2CLIMB. That was our initial registrational trial that showed progression-free survival and overall survival benefit of adding tucatinib to capecitabine and trastuzumab. HER2CLIMB-05 asked a little bit of a different question, asked about the benefit of adding tucatinib to the maintenance setting in first-line HER2-positive metastatic breast cancer. So after patients did induction taxane with HP, then when they were continuing HP with or without endocrine therapy based on their hormonal status, about a benefit of adding tucatinib there.
Yeah, great. And then when you did this study, how many patients were included and what were some of the key characteristics of those patients?
Yeah, we had almost 700 patients included. It was a relatively young age sample. The median in both arms were 54 years of age. All patients were women. We ended up having just over half of patients with hormone receptor positive breast cancer. And we ended up finding out that of those patients that had hormone receptor positive breast cancer, about 45% of them received endocrine therapy during their maintenance phase. 70% of our patients had de novo metastatic disease, and only 30% of the patients had recurred after initial treatment.
Yeah, and I mean, the results were amazing. We heard your presentation this morning, and there was an absolute benefit of 8.6 months in the progression-free survival. Can you maybe go through some of the key results and statistics and what the clinicians would want to know about your study?
Yeah, absolutely. So completely correct. The absolute magnitude of benefit was 8.6 months. This was an improvement of essentially about 18 months over 24.9 months. So we kind of crossed that threshold of a year and a half PFS in the maintenance setting over to 2 years. We also broke down this analysis by hormone receptor status. So for our patients that had hormone receptor negative disease, the absolute benefit was over 12 months, highly statistically significant. For our patients that had hormone receptor positive disease, the benefit was also statistically significant. It was 6.9 months. So really, regardless of hormone receptor status, there was a benefit for adding tucatinib.
Great. And then, I think what the clinicians are asking is, where do we place this with results coming from other studies? So maybe first we can talk a little bit about patina and what you think we should do for maintenance in that estrogen receptor positive population.
Yeah, it's a very timely question, and we're blessed with some riches in breast cancer to have a lot of these studies reading out and some decisions that we need to make. So I think the data from patina was fantastic. It was very compelling data. It was only for patients that had hormone receptor positive disease. So it did not include that hormone receptor negative subset. And when we're looking at that patina data, these patients did exceptionally well, even on the control arm. The PFS on the control arm was 29 months and went up to 44 months with the addition of palbociclib. So it really did not appear to be the same population that we had enrolled in HER2CLIMB-05, where our control arm was really performing at about 18 months PFS. What was very similar were the hazard ratios, though. The hazard ratio of patina was 0.74. Our hazard ratio was 0.725, so very similar. I think really what this tells us is that maintenance strategy is an effective strategy and probably one that many patients are going to like because they're not going to have to worry about doing cytotoxic throughout the first line treatment period.
Okay. And then the last question we have is, like with Destiny-09, what patients do you think should get TDXD frontline versus TPH and some type of maintenance therapy after?
Yeah, I may have a little bit of a controversial answer to this question. I think that the DB09 trastuzumab deruxtecan data was very compelling. I think that I would use that for most of my patients. What I don't necessarily think is that we have to continue trastuzumab deruxtecan indefinitely until progression. So I suspect that even for those patients that are receiving trastuzumab deruxtecan and DB09, that there is going to be a desire to institute some type of maintenance regimen, whether that's patina, whether that's HER2CLIMB-05. I think we're going to see maintenance regimens being used for most patients in first-line therapy.
Yeah, and I think as we get more subgroup analysis from these studies and more studies report out, maybe we'll be able to have a little bit more of a nuanced approach to all of this.
Absolutely.
Okay, do you have any last thoughts that you want to share?
No, I don't think so. All great news for patients, more options.
Yes, and again, congratulations. You can find the details in JCO.
Thank you.